Absolutely. Let's begin with a strong hook and then dive into Section I. Episode recap following your instructions. Some moments don't need explosions to hit hard. It's that one look, that one line, that silence between characters that says it all. Episode 7 of The Chi didn't scream, it simmered. And if you blinked, you probably missed something important. Let's break down what really went down in this episode real quick. No fluff, all heart. Episode 7 picked up the pieces from the last episode, and instead of rushing, it took its time, letting emotions sit heavy in the air. One of the biggest threads this week? Emmett and Kiesha. You can feel the weight on them. They're not just dealing with regular couple drama, it's deeper. Kiesha is trying to hold it down. But the more she sacrifices for Emmett, the more cracks start to show. And Emmett, he's torn between being the man he wants to be and the one the streets expect him to be. That dual pressure is eating at him, and you can see it even in his silence. There's a moment where they sit at the kitchen table, barely speaking, and it speaks volumes. Meanwhile, Douda is still out here moving like a chess player, slow, quiet, dangerous. He's got people watching people, making moves behind the scenes. You already know when Douda's calm. It's because something wicked is coming. His scenes this episode are short, but the tension they carry. ****, you ever watch a scene and forget it's acting? Like, for a second, you're not seeing characters, you're seeing people. That's what this episode did. Some of these characters ain't even say much, but their energy? Let's talk about who carried this episode without even breaking. A sweat. Kiesha was the quiet powerhouse this time. She's holding down the house, the kids, and trying to be that steady anchor for Emmett, but you can tell her patience is wearing thin. There's this look she gives him at one point, like she's wondering if this is the life she signed up for. She's not yelling, not throwing things, but you can feel her screaming inside. It's raw. And it's the kind of performance that sticks because it's not dramatic, it's real. Kiesha's been through so much, and you can see she's tired of being the strong one all the time. The way she carries that weight without breaking, that's strength in silence. Emmett, on the other hand, is starting to unravel. You see it in the way he avoids eye contact, the way his voice cracks when he's trying to act like everything's fine. He's slipping, and he knows it. The problem is, he doesn't know how to stop the fall. There's this tension building up in him, guilt, fear, pride, and it's all fighting for control. He's trying to protect his people, but in doing that, he's pushing them away. The performance here is layered, not loud, but deep. Emmett is in survival mode, and we're watching it happen in slow motion. Papa had one of the most emotional arcs in this episode. He's usually the voice of reason, the one who brings heart to chaos. But this time, he's lost. That scene in the church, where he's asking questions nobody's answering, that hit different. It's not just about religion, it's about identity, purpose, pain. You can feel how alone he is, even when he's surrounded by people, and that isolation is what makes his performance so heavy. He doesn't need to cry to show us he's hurting. It's in his eyes, in his stillness. And then we've got Douda, calm, smooth, but terrifying. He barely speaks in this episode, but every move he makes screams control. The man's like a shadow, always there, even when you can't see him. There's one scene where he just watches someone from across the room. No threats, no words. But it's the coldest moment in the whole episode. That's the kind of villain energy that doesn't need volume to be deadly. These characters aren't just acting, they're living inside this world. And this episode let them breathe. Nobody's perfect here. And that's why they're so real. The tension between who they are and who they're trying to be, that's what makes this show hit so hard. Let me know if you'd like to move on to Section 3. Themes and symbolism. I'm ready when you are. Heavy. There's this one scene in particular, a phone call that doesn't last long but changes everything. It's that kind of writing that makes the Chi different. It trusts us to pick up the pieces. Then there's Papa, man. Papa is really going through it, spiritually, emotionally, all of it. He's searching for something, and this episode gave us a deeper look into that struggle. You can feel he wants purpose, but every time he reaches, he comes up empty. His scenes aren't flashy, but they matter. Especially that church scene, quiet, simple, but full of pain and confusion. It's giving us the setup for a bigger shift in his journey, and it's low-key one of the most human arcs of the season. On the flip side, Victor is trying to hold on to his new life, but trouble keeps finding him. People don't forget, and the past doesn't forgive. He's trying to do right, but the streets keep pulling him back. His scenes in this episode feel like slow burns, showing how he's walking a tightrope. One wrong step, and everything falls apart. This episode wasn't packed with explosions or huge reveals. It was slow, real, and emotional. That's why it hit. The writers want us to feel uncomfortable, to sit with the quiet pain the characters are carrying. And it works. Every scene had weight, even the ones where barely anything happened on the surface. Because underneath, everything was boiling. Absolutely. Let's kick off Section 3, Themes and Symbolism, with a fresh and thought-provoking hook that sets the tone for deeper insight. Then dive into the full 2,000-character breakdown. Section 3, Themes and Symbolism, 2,000 characters. Sometimes it's not what's said, it's what isn't. The Chi has always been about what lingers in the silence, what breathes in the spaces between dialogue. Episode 7 doesn't scream its messages, it whispers them. And if you're not paying attention, you'll miss the bigger story happening beneath the surface. This episode wasn't just about what characters did, it was about what the writers were trying to say about life in the city, about Black identity, power, survival, and the emotional toll of silence. Let's start with the theme of emotional inheritance, the trauma passed down like it's family tradition. You can see this in Emmett's behavior. He's carrying not just his own weight, but the expectations of what it means to be a man, provide, protect, never fold. But what happens when all of that becomes too much? The show doesn't need to say it directly. It shows us in the way Emmett isolates himself, the way Kiesha becomes both his partner and his therapist. It's the quiet struggle of breaking generational patterns while still being trapped in them. Then there's Faith. VS frustration, seen through Papa. His storyline has slowly become one of the most important of the season, not for the plot, but for the soul. That scene in the church isn't just about religion. It's about a young Black man looking for guidance in a world that keeps failing him. The silence in that church? That wasn't just lack of sound. That was absence of comfort, of clarity, of God, maybe. It's deep without preaching. The Chi lets that moment sit, and we're forced to sit with it too. And let's talk about power and presence, especially with Douda. He's not just a man, he's a symbol of how violence can be silent, of how control doesn't always look loud or messy. The way he moves this episode, calm, composed, it's a reminder that power doesn't need to be shouted. His stillness is louder than any gunshot. He represents the kind of threat that doesn't just take lives, but takes peace. His scenes remind us that evil doesn't always look like chaos. Sometimes it looks like order with a smile. Another layer, home as battlefield. From Kiesha and Emmett's home to Victor's public image, the personal spaces are under siege. The kitchen table, the church, the living room, places that should feel safe now feel heavy. The show is saying something loud here, that the real war isn't just in the streets. It's inside the mind, inside the house, inside the heart. The Chi doesn't spell things out. It trusts the viewer to feel it. That's what makes it more than a show. It's a mirror. And in this episode, that mirror reflects back pain, pressure, and quiet power that hits harder than any speech. You ever finish an episode and just sit there like, Damn, that was good, but was it perfect? That's what episode 7 felt like. Not a bad meal, but you might push the plate back thinking, yo, one more bite and this would have been fire. Let's get real for a second. This episode had weight, but it wasn't flawless, and that's okay. Because even a great episode deserves a little side-eye. Let's start with the pace, not terrible, but definitely slow in parts. Some scenes felt like they were dragging their feet to get somewhere. Yes, the show's strength is in letting characters breathe, but there's a fine line between building tension and just sitting there. A few conversations could have been trimmed without losing the heart. You feel at most during Victor's scenes, he's a strong character. But this episode didn't quite give him anything new. It's like they were saving him for the next round. Next underused characters. Where was Gemma? Where was Jake? These are people we've followed for multiple seasons, and now they're background noise. That's a letdown, especially when the episode could have benefited from cutting away from the heavier stuff to give us some emotional contrast. The cheese shines when it balances pain with joy, seriousness with softness. This episode leaned a little too heavy on the emotional weight, without giving us that balance. Sound design and music. As always, solid, the show knows how to pair mood with melody. Whether it's a slow beat creeping under a tense scene or dead silence in a church, it hits. And this is minor, there were moments when the music almost tried too hard to tell us how to feel. Trust the performance. The actors were doing the heavy lifting. Don't spoon feed us with piano keys. Now here's something I did love. The dialogue, real, sharp, no fluff. People talk like people, especially papas. Lines, the writing in this episode leaned into silence, yes, but when words were used, they mattered. Kiesha's short lines, Papa's broken prayers, Emmett's half-truths, it all felt authentic. No one's over-explaining. The show trusts us to read between the lines, and that's a rare flex. Lastly, this episode felt like it was setting up something big, and while that's exciting, it also made the episode feel a little like a bridge, a calm before the storm. That's not a bad thing, but you can't help wishing for just one more emotional punch before the credits rolled. It gave tension, not release, which makes you hungry for next week, but leaves this one a bit incomplete. Still, when the chi plays the long game, it usually pays off. So maybe this one wasn't dessert. Maybe it was just the slow-cooked main course, right before the fire hits. Asterisk perfect. Let's bring it home with the final section, outro and call to action, keeping the tone consistent, confident, real, and made to connect with your audience on a faceless but personal level. Asterisk. Sometimes it's not about what you watched, it's about what stayed with you after. And that's where the chi wins every time. Episode 7 might have been slower, more reflective, even frustrating in parts, but that's the point. It wasn't meant to hype you up with action. It was meant to sit on your chest and make you feel. And if you made it to the end of this episode without pausing once to think about your own life, your own people, your own silence, you weren't really watching. Asterisk, but that's just my take. Now it's your turn. Asterisk, what hit hardest for you? Was it Papa's silent breakdown, Kiesha's quiet strength, Emmett's slow fall? Or was it the shadow of Douda, always watching, always planning, like the devil in the back room? Drop it in the comments. Don't hold back. This show is made to start conversations, not just end them. Asterisk, and let's talk about what's next. Because you already know, this was a setup episode. A calm before the chaos. That look Kiesha gave. That phone called out a maid. That silence in Papa's prayer. Those weren't filler. Those were fuse wires waiting on a spark. Something's coming, and it's going to hit hard. So here's my question. Who's about to break next? Who's getting redeemed? And who's getting buried? Asterisk, hit that like if you caught even one of the details we broke down. Subscribe if you're riding with this series till the wheels fall off. And share this with somebody who watched the episode and said, yo, I know there's more to this than what they showed. Asterisk, this ain't just a breakdown. It's a space for people who watch TV with their heart, not just their eyes. So if that's you're home. Asterisk catch you on the next one. Episode 8 is about to shift the whole table. Asterisk until then, stay sharp. And stay watching. Asterisk.